Hi, this is Kimberly Whitman with Heart of the Bride Ministries. The mandate for Heart of the Bride is to release the full expression of the heart of Yahweh. The recording you're about to watch is our Wednesday evening roundtable where we have invited different mature sons to release their piece of the puzzle that brings a fuller sound of our Heavenly Father's heartbeat. Be sure to stay to the end of the video to learn more about Heart of the Bride. Now, enjoy as you engage.
So tonight, everybody, I am going to put it on the screen because I do like to work out of the PowerPoint. It keeps me on point because I've been known to take 20 minutes for an introduction, and that just isn't fair to anybody. And I do have I am giving out information, but I want it to be an impartation. So there will be some time that we will activate actually at the very beginning of this. Last week, we started a teaching on heart-brain coherence, and some of you may know what that means and understand it. But I'm going to take up the screen right now, and where is the why? Okay. No, power. Sorry, guys. I have to move everything. Make this small. Get rid of. I had all this, of course, very organized before. Okay. Heart of the Bride 2. Are you there? Whoops. Okay. Have I lost everybody?
Nope, we're here.
We're here.
Is it showing?
No, we can't see anything on the screen yet.
All right. Well, there's a problem then.
Let me make sure I've.
So I'm going to just go out of there. I am going to share screen and okay, share there. Now it should.
There we go.
There?
Yep, it's there.
Okay, good.
And I have to say real quick before you move forward, Helen, I just also want to honor Ed, your sweet hubby, and Ed being on here. I cannot wait till I meet you in person, Ed. That is going to be so much fun. So I am just honored to have you on with Helen as well.
Perfect.
Well, I want to say I'm honored to even be married to him. I'll tell you, because my life in our 26 years has been a honeymoon, and I don't think anybody could be as supportive or feeling loved. So I too honor my wonderful man. Thanks. All right. So I'm going to take a deep breath. Science and spirituality. That is where I have placed my energies for study and for engaging God for the last number of years now. And I'm more and more impacted and more excited with the fact that science and spirituality don't oppose each other. As a matter of fact, they bring together what ancient cultures have taught and still have in their customs, yet the Christian church has stayed away from it, thinking that it's occult. And actually a lot of what I'm learning is science, and it's connected to who we are. It's connected to our being, it's connected to our body, and it's connected to the very person that God breathed into, because in the beginning God created man, and that's us, guys. So last week we started. Oh yeah, sorry. We're interrupting for this commercial. Thank you, everybody that has been connecting me for the children's books, and I appreciate that, and I love it. Audio book with pictures are on YouTube as well. So you can write in the title, Jacob's Ladder, Heaven's Court, Emma's Corner, and write children's book, and they'll pop up, and I'll read them to you before you go to bed. How's that? Okay. So that was a quick commercial, eh? It's nice when they're done in 3 seconds. Okay, so for those of you, I didn't know how many are going to come back and that we can just seamlessly continue, or those of you who are coming on today and you've never heard of this. What we did was an activation, actually. And I don't, excuse me, and I'm going to go through it, and I'm just going to position ourselves so that we can take a deep breath and just settle our hearts and settle our minds, settle our thinking, and just get into that lovely place of peace. That should have been easier to say. And we're going to just do this together. It's a little activation, and then I'm going to explain what we just did. So first of all, let's quiet ourselves and take a few minutes right now to learn the most powerful activation. Get comfortable. You can lay down. I saw some of you on couches, or you can do this sitting up, standing up. It doesn't matter. You can actually rest anywhere. First thing that we're going to do is we're going to allow our awareness to move from our mind to the area of our heart. So however you're comfortable, touch that area of your heart. This actually sends a signal to your heart that a shift has taken place. You're no longer engaged in the world around you, and you are now becoming aware of the world within you. And you know, as a child, or maybe even now, people fold their hands in a prayer mode and touch their heart. Well, it's an ancient way of doing this heart focus, actually. Now, as you're in that, you've touched your heart, you're aware of your heart, begin to breathe slowly and with purpose. We're going to take 5 or 6 seconds inhaling, and then controlled 5, 6 seconds exhaling. Now just keep doing it. I'm going to keep talking, which you won't be having when you're doing it on your own, but just to help guide you. Take another 5 seconds in, 1, and 5 seconds out. Just stay there. See if you can do it so that maybe you do 10 of those a minute. Just really calm down. Stay there until you relax, till it becomes rhythmic, till it becomes peaceful, till you're not struggling with the breathing. Just focus on your heart. Slow breathing signals your body that it's safe. It's in a place to support the process, and it stimulates the response of the nervous system to create the relaxation response. Now, the third step is now we're going to allow a feeling. Deliberately create a sincere feeling of care, appreciation, gratitude, or compassion for anyone or anything. Just allow your thinking. The easiest can be just that gratefulness. Lord, thank you for today. Thank you for my children. Thank you for my husband. Thank you for Heart of the Bride. Just that, and as you're in that place of gratitude, you find yourself, your appreciation and your compassion expands because you remind yourself of all the things that God is doing. And then stay there for a few minutes. The key is that this feeling must be sincere and heartfelt as possible. The quality of this feeling fine-tunes, optimizes the coherence between your heart and your brain. Everyone is capable of evoking a feeling, but you may have to experiment to find the one that works the best for you. When we learn how to produce the feeling in our heart that agrees with the mind of God, which is our body, mind of God in our body, we will begin to effectively change our world because God is love. In Him, we live and move and have our being. In love, compassion, we are powerful agents of change. We learned last week that elevated emotions and the feelings of love, compassion, gratitude broadens the electromagnetic field around us. Once our attention, intention, and then your energy activates the heart acts as an amplifier to move energy to the brain. It's not the other way around. I don't know about you, but I have caught myself many times over the years saying, I understand it here. I'll tap my brain. It needs to come to my heart. But you know what I found out? It's the opposite. We need to get things in our heart, from our heart, and then allow our heart to teach our brain. When we open our heart, we activate an external magnetic field around our body. This field can be measured up to 3 meters and more. Collectively, we can influence the electromagnetic field of the earth. And I'm not going back there because, as Kim said, it is recorded and you can get it on Heart of the Bride on YouTube. The magnetic field produced by the heart is 5,000 times greater than the strength by the brain, and it can be detected up to 10 feet beyond the physical body in all directions into the space around us. The research conducted at the Institute of Heart Math suggests that the heart's field is an important carrier of information, and that's what we're going to see. The research shows that as we establish heart-brain coherence over time, our body will reset any emotional imbalance. That includes a reset of any fear, depression, anxiety, stress, impatience, frustration, etc., and begins to create a peaceful balance within your being. And I have to say that there are a few times in my life that don't compare to the time that we're in now with elections and with the viruses and with governments and the fact that we can see things globally by the press of a button. It's so easy to get into areas of anxiety or stress or frustration. But this research with heart-brain coherence, what you have just done, your body will reset any emotional imbalance. The more we practice, the more we're able to regulate our inner world of thoughts, feelings, regardless of the conditions in our outer environment. And you know what, folks? It works. The human heart is unique. It's the first organ developed in a baby outside the mother's womb, and the heart beats before the brain is even developed. It's the last of our organs to stop when a person dies, and in fact, it can continue to beat for some time when it's removed from the body. The fetal heart starts beating before the brainstem and nervous system is fully developed. I would say we are wonderfully and fearfully made, and our heart is important. That heart radiates an electromagnetic field affecting each other's moods, attitudes, and feelings, whether we're conscious of it or not. And I'm going to begin here with a mom and a baby. Do you know that a mother's heartbeat and a baby's heartbeat actually sync? Mother's intuition, is that a real thing? We've all heard of it. My kids sometimes think I had eyes in the back of my head, but no, it's called mother's intuition because our hearts are in tune with our kids. We've heard stories of mothers that have sons on the battlefield, or now children on the battlefield, sons or daughters, and have this intuitive feeling that something's wrong and will pray specifically for protection or something and find out not long after that mother's intuition was true. Could it be because our heart and our brains are in sync? I think so. I want to tell a little story about my own oldest son. His name is Paul. When he was about a year and a half, and his baby brother Bob had been born, I had a nightmare one night, and I'm not prone to nightmares. And certainly that night it was just awful. I dreamt that Paul was by the lake, and there were rocks, and he was drowning. I could see him go down under the water, and I woke up in a sweat, and I shook my husband, and I said, Paul's in danger. And I came to, and Paul was crying, and I ran into the other room. He said, Mommy, the rocks, the water, help me. Could it be mother's intuition is a real thing? I think so. So it is with man's best friend. That's how we are connected, everybody. We are connected, not just with our children. We're connected with our pets. We're connected with the earth. We're connected with the solar system. We are connected. There is nothing divided. And with man's best friend, the Heart Math Institute, these pictures, by the way, I usually put a little thing in the corner that they're from Heart Math. This is from Heart Math. And this is a picture showing the dog and the owner's heartbeat in sync. Isn't that great? This is my son, Bobby, and there's his dog, Maggie. It's very interesting. Maggie's just 3 years old, and I love her to bits. And often if Bob is away for extended periods of time during the day, he'll drop her off so that Maggie and I can play. Maggie many times knows within 5 minutes that Bob will be walking in that door. She will go to the window right on cue, or she'll go to the door and he will appear. It's almost uncanny. So it was fun for me to find this in Heart Math, that they are more in sync. They say pets and masters look like each other, so I think they're both cute. There you go. Scientific studies and the power of the heart. Now this I want you guys to really get. In 2004, a study conducted by Heart Math Institute wanted to examine what mysterious powers the heart might hold. In the study, participants were shown pictures, some beautiful, some disturbing, some neutral. While hooked up to machines measuring their cardiac activity, the machines would measure what the heart was doing while some provocative pictures were shown. They showed 45 pictures in all. I've chosen just these just to give you a little montage of what I think are sort of either neutral, or they invoke very pleasant feelings, right? Sitting on a beach in a park. And this is Kim in the corner, in case you're wondering, in snow. I saw this, and Kim, and I thought about you. Here are other pictures, and they certainly don't feel peaceful, do they? There's anger, frustration, horror, accidents, funeral scene, just awful. And they would invoke different feelings in the people. Kim, that's you in the snow. You can come here anytime. Researchers found that the heart was responding to the emotionally provocative pictures prior to them being seen. A full 6 seconds before the photos were shown, the heart would react to what was coming. However, the heart was receiving intuitive information before the brain, and in fact, the heart appeared to be looking into the future. We almost need Sila. Think about that. The fact that our heart knows something before it's going to happen. One researcher said, we found that from the body perspective, the heart is the first to receive these non-local signals or intuitions when they are passed to the brain. Then they are passed to the brain. It's a result I wouldn't have predicted. The heart has access to information outside the boundaries of time and space, and it's been proven beyond a shadow of a doubt. Our brain receives many of its instructions on what to do from the heart. Studies show that the heart is able to think, to feel, and have emotions of its own. This is a quote for one of my favorite books, The Little Prince. And now here's my secret, a very simple secret. It's only with the heart that one can see rightly what is essential. Is it what is essential is invisible to the eye. As a man thinks in his heart, so is he. Doesn't that make you feel a little bit differently about your heart? Whoops. The heart is a sensory organ and acts as a sophisticated information encoding and processing center that enables it to learn, remember, and make independent functional decisions. The heart is changed when our thoughts, emotions, and feelings align to the reality of the mind of God that is in us. The key is our feeling, not just what we think. We can change frustration to appreciation in minutes. And you can see by this diagram of the heart coherence can it can shift into a very coherent beat in a very short time. How do we do that? The way we started this meeting, by setting your heart and just the very most simple understanding to breathe rhythmically and just to rest and know and to put your mind in that wonderful place of feeling love and gratitude and compassion. You know what, I'll tell you what, the more you do that, the easier it becomes. You can almost do it by taking just a deep breath and allowing it to go, and it'll happen. It's a simple process, but you have to engage in it. Spend time practicing it before it becomes a part of you. Heart-brain coherence activation, when it's done in seminars, the practice students, what usually will take maybe 5, 6, 7 minutes to do before they get into that coherent state, learn to do it so well they can do it less than a minute. And it is a wonderful thing because really you're cooperating with the love of God. You go from a very quick frustration to a very, very solid, peaceful love. Heart-brain coherence activation that takes only 6 minutes or so continues to operate in your body for up to 6 hours. So for 6 minutes to get 6 hours worth of results, I think is good bang for your buck. The founder of the Institute of Heart Math says, since emotionally processes can work faster than the mind, it takes a power stronger than the mind to bend perception, override emotional circuitry, and provides us with intuitive feeling instead. It takes the power of the heart. So with the successful completion of step 3, the connection linking the heart and brain and resulting in the heart-brain coherence has been established. There are 2 more steps that we can learn that allow us to engage with our heart. So now we're going to let our hearts speak, let our hearts be intuitive and communicate with us. So the 4th step, now the previous 3 steps create the harmony between your heart and your brain, and it enables you to tap into your heart's intelligence. This should be done first, okay? So as you continue to breathe, hold the focus in your heart, it's now a good time to ask your heart a question. We're going to now talk to our heart. Heart intelligence generally works best when the questions are brief and to the point. Your heart doesn't need a preface or the history of a situation before the question. Ask your question as a simple, concise sentence, and then you will allow your heart to respond in the way that it works for you. Ask simple questions. You don't need to explain it to your heart. This should be a statement that we all should know about prayer. We actually don't have to sit and tell God what to do and how to do something, because Aunt Nellie, well, God, she's been going to the barn back and forth every day, milking that cow. And you know how her knee acts up when the moon is in the 4th orbit of Saturn. We need you to heal her. this is so goofy. Ask simple questions. You don't need to explain your heart. Just ask, should I take the plane? Should I take the job? Should I take this assignment? Ask simple questions. One of the reasons that this is good, because you might be in a crisis situation. I listened to Greg Braden. He talked about doing this heart-brain coherence, and he was at the airport at the time of 9/11. And of course, everything was shut down. And he was there when they were just opening up the flights, and the flights were virtually empty because everyone is afraid to get on the next plane. Well, you can imagine. And he was coming, I think, out of Australia. And so he used exactly what I'm telling you right now. He went to a quiet place, got his head in the game, I was going to say, get his heart and brain coherence, just relaxed, readied himself. Then he asked his heart the question, should I take this flight? His heart said yes. When his heart, because he's seasoned in it as well, he knew that this was his heart, and he got on the plane, and he said there was about 3 people on the flight, but it was a safe flight. Yes, he should have been on the plane. Should I take the job? Should I take this assignment? Many of us have questions every day that our heart could answer, so that we wouldn't be caught in confusion, or would just know where to go and what to do. Why ask your heart rather than another person for this wisdom? First of all, another person can give you an opinion or their understanding learned from books or courses. That other person is just opinionated. They don't know what God is saying to your heart. You are the person that is developing an intimate relationship with Yahweh. When you, if you are someone that is wanting to hear the voice of God really clearly, this would be your assignment. Also, don't ask your best friend, because your best friend wants to make you feel good and has far too much bias. Learn just to speak to your heart. Just speak to your heart. This also works in dream interpretation. Although there are examples in the Bible of others being able to translate or even tell a person what their dream was, like Daniel and King Nebuchadnezzar, the purposes of dreams are for the dreamer to hear what God is saying, what Yahweh is saying to you. It's all about intimacy with him. In Job, it says that he speaks to us in the night seasons. And I often think he speaks to us in the night season in dreams and in visions, because it's the first time we're actually shutting up so he can get to us. So ask your heart to interpret. And this develops a relationship and a love language unique to you and God, because God wants to speak to you. Number 5, you've done number 4, listen for an answer. So the last part of this is to become aware. When you ask a question, become aware of how your body feels immediately as you are asking your question in step 4. Note any sensations, any warmth, any tingling, any ringing in the ears, or emotions that might arise. For people who are in tune to their bodies and their heart's intelligence, this step is the easiest part of the process. For those with less experience, this is an exercise in awareness. Everyone learns and experiences differently and uniquely, and there is no correct or incorrect way of receiving your heart's wisdom. The key is to know what works for you, and we will only know what works for us if we take on this assignment and try it for ourselves. Some people will receive words like, or some have a washover with warmth or peace, like physical sensations. Some never receive words, only the nonverbal communication of a sensation from their hearts or their gut. How many of us have said, oh, I can feel it in my gut, right? Well, interestingly enough, your heart and your gut both have little brains. Actually, all your energy centers do, but predominantly we are used to feeling them from our heart or our gut. Remember, you and your body are unique partners in the world. And what's key here is to listen to your own body, to learn how it communicates with you, and give it the opportunity to be heard. So in summary, we focus, breathe, feel, ask, and listen. And the secret to this code is to learn what works best for you. Number 4 and 5 will not work well unless you are in heart-brain coherence first. The brain is powerful, very strongly opinionated. That is why we need to learn to live from our heart of love. Ask only from your mind function of the brain, and you will often find yourself in the spin cycle. Ask from your heart of love, and you will be asking from the mind of God. This power within you actually is so powerful. Heart Brain Institute, in their studies, and I really, really recommend that you look further into the studies there. This power of heart-brain coherence heals disease. What will trigger it will trigger your brain to produce what hormones are needed for your health. Imagine that, being at peace, breathing, and setting your mind, your emotions, your heart into a place of compassion and love and gratitude triggers your brain to produce whatever is needed for your body's health. If you have a headache, it'll release what it needs. If you have autoimmune system problems, it will release whatever it is that your body needs. We are wonderfully and fearfully made. It will heighten your feeling of well-being. Peace always does that, doesn't it? Heart-brain coherence will give you a greater capacity to operate in compassion and love. And remember what I said? It operates just automatically for 6 hours after you do it. So we can stay in that on purpose the whole day. It eliminates stress. It boosts and activates your autoimmune system. It lowers blood pressure and heart rate. It releases anti-aging hormones, and it brings you into a place of peace. It gives you deep into access. I'm going to start again. It gives you access to deep intuition and to the intelligence in your heart. We saw that, didn't we, with the pictures. I felt that was just so amazing that our heart actually intuitively knows what's coming before it arrives. And our heart-brain coherence, our heart triggers over 1,300 positive biochemical reactions so that our brain triggers the release of what our bodies need to be healthy. So to learn more, go to heartbrain.com. And I'm going to stop here. I'm going to stop and share because I don't know the time. We're doing okay. And I would like to know at this point if anybody has any questions or comments. I know there was a repeat from last week, but there are a lot of us on this call, so I know that there are people that weren't here, and it might be new, but I really would like to know if there's something you'd like to ask or comment on.
You know what I thought was so beautiful, you were sharing the piece about the pictures and how our heart intuitively knows what's coming. How incredible how the Lord created us as even from that protective place, that our heart is literally trying to protect our brain from seeing something that our heart knows will be stored in the mechanism of our brain, and how we, the window, our eyes being windows. And I mean, that to me is so incredible without even putting words to it. But how often man has chosen to view certain things or in certain situations that actually ignore that voice of our heart. We're having to relearn how to pay attention to that voice and really allow it to do its job, which is just amazing, amazing.
Exactly. And if I can just speak into that too, from I'm not sure that we did it last week, but our brain actually stores memory. We think that it's in our thinker all the time, but our brain, our heart has a great filing cabinet, to the point where with brain transplant, or sorry, heart trans, we haven't done brain transplants yet. Heart transplant patients, it's been known that the recipient of the heart sometimes will dream as that person. As a matter of fact, one young girl got was the recipient of another young girl that had been murdered, and she kept having nightmares. And finally, she was able to share this with her doctor. The doctor had the intuitiveness to ask her to describe what she's seeing, let her talk it all out. And the accuracy of her being able to give the details of the murder and the description of the person actually led to the capture and conviction of the murderer. That's how powerful our hearts are. They store, our hearts are so amazing. We are wonderfully made.
Really, truly.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Helen, I just wanted to say, if I could say real quick, it's so interesting, because as you were talking, that so resonated so deeply within me, but also it just reminded me, we say kind of in passing, my heart heard you, or my heart was hearing you. But it's so funny, because I mean, literally, my heart was hearing you, I mean, we say it kind of just, oh, my heart heard you, or my heart was hearing you. But I just kind of had to chuckle at that, because I thought, so that is literally like true. I mean, not just saying it, it is
Right.
true. My heart did hear, so anyway, I just wanted to throw that out, because I just thought I had to chuckle at that for a second. But that's so good. I mean, it's so good.
Yeah, thank you, Tammy. That is so true, and that is for all of us. That's one of the reasons I believe that we shouldn't throw around that term, "I'm holding you in my heart."
Ooh.
I think that should be the truth. Is really, it shouldn't be a throwaway line, because when we can truly from our heart love somebody, we are not separated. We're not separated anyway, by the way. We are all connected. We are totally all part of the same package that God made. That we have no degree of separation. But the more we actually engage and allow our heart, especially when, see, I love it when science and spirituality come together, so that I have this assurance, not just from my own feeling and understanding, but when science says this is that, I just love that confirmation for me, and I can hold on to it differently. And I had a friend, and I don't know if she's on now, but she lost her brother tragically in a house fire, and she is down in the States, and a brother was in Canada. So there's no way for her to get to her family, very large, loving family. And this family also knew the Lord. However, very tragic happened just the last few days. And I've been sharing back and forth with her, and I say, I am so holding you in my heart. And because we are besties, and we can, we do know, we share this type of thing. She just wrote, she says, I can feel it. And like Kim started this meeting, we think of someone, we phone them, and we actually they're thinking, or they know, or we think of somebody and they're on the call, or we phone, I was just thinking of you. It's such truth to that. And when we get in that place where our heart is in line with the love of God, can you imagine where he's able to take us, what he can trust us with each other? I mean, I want Kim to come here and enjoy the snow. I'm out in it actually for a couple of hours every day. I want to walk with Kim. But she shouldn't have to take an airplane. We're growing, we're learning.
Yes.
Sorry.
That's so good. Helen, can I share?
And don't be surprised if I show up.
Well,
Helen, this is Wendy. Can I share something?
Wendy, I miss you.
I miss you too. I'm so glad to be here. I just want to share a confirmation. I was in an ascended place with a couple of friends today, and I had a horrible pain in my heart. Like it just hurt. And I shared it, and I left my body express or feel. I'm a big feeler, so it's probably easy. That stage for me is one of the easier places. Actually deciding to connect with my heart is hardest for me usually, I guess, because I connect with my head and the circumstances much too quickly. But today, my heart hurt so bad, and I really didn't know why until you started talking about asking your question. And I remembered that I had ringing in my ears after my heart was hurting today, but I didn't understand it till you explained. So I asked my heart, and my heart said, because you're not listening to me. I'm listening to people, I'm listening to circumstances, I'm listening to the news. I'm just listening to all these sources that are betraying or causing such challenge for me. So I just thank you that you helped to confirm that I just need to listen to my heart, because the kingdom is within me, and that's where I'm going to find what I need, because that's where Jesus is. So I wanted to just share that testimony and thank you.
Wendy, that's such a good point. And I'm, you know what, I'm really glad you're going through that and shared it with us, because it's such a great understanding of the training that we're in with the Lord, right? That to be so sensitive and so guided by our inner compass, and that is our heart. And do you know, I have another teaching on the God Code where he is actually in every cell of our body. He is in, there is nothing that he isn't in, and we are made in his image. The most privileged place for us is actually in this human body, which is all light, which is more stuff. But thank you for sharing that.
It's so good. That's so good, Wendy. Okay, Angela has her hand up. Go ahead, Angela.
Well, in response to the other lady that was just responded, it makes you really aware of how well do you love your heart, you know, because you can so easily go against your heart, even though you know what your heart wants, because your flesh is rearing up, you know, I could see that. But anyway, I wanted to add that in there. It's like it really shines a light, you know, if we got work to do, to just love ourselves and really love our heart, you know, and really listen to that. But when you were talking about the 5 steps, Helen, I was prompted to write down the first letter of each of those words: focus, breathe, and I can't remember what the other ones were because I was too busy writing it down, but it was the F, B, F, A, and L, because I wanted to look those up in the Hebrew alphabet. And it's a it's a beautiful picture, but and I want to just throw it out here because I can see it and I can see the absolute revelation in it, but it's hard to put it in words. But I'm putting it out here for Gary and Greg and people that love, you know, can just pull that out of their hat. But it's obviously it's the pay, the bet, pay, which to me speaks of getting the head, you know, we sink down and we put our face into the face of our heart, which is the bait, is going in, and then the I in, which has to do with the knowing, and then lamed, which is the contemplation of the heart, the connect, that's our connect to the spirit realm. So pay, bet, pay, ayin, lamed is what the Lord showed me those letters, because I could have picked an aleph, but it was an ayin. So I just put that out there for discussion for those gurus who love to do that.
Oh, that's really good.
Wow. I love it when, the word is so rich and the Lord is so rich in us. Just when we think we've come to a certain understanding and a certain level of something, he just discombumbles all that and says, okay, look over here, and then takes us deeper and deeper and deeper. And these walks of deeper and deeper and deeper are all individual. I'm so glad we have the collective, because that's who we are and we can get to share that. But I'm so glad he deals with each of us intimately and personally, as if we were the only ones, the only child. Thank you for sharing that. That's awesome.
So, Angela, that is so good. Emily, I see that your mic is on. Did you have something you wanted to ask or share or say?
I just want to say it's been just a wonderful evening, and I really needed to hear this tonight. My son is going through some really tough times right now, and it just is confirming me to be able to take him into my heart and I guess just lift him up in the Lord, and ask the questions of, just ask the Lord the questions that I need answers to.
Emily, thank you for sharing that, and you've opened another really very special part of this on a spiritual level. As people ask, what authority do I have, or what responsibility do I have? And in love, and because we're all connected, when we have this situation, I don't know your situation, I do know and love you, but I can feel it, what you just said in my heart as you were speaking. I went, oh my. And in this process, what we can do is we can wrap exactly what you said. I'm so glad you shared. We can wrap each other, or like our children, our parents, our friends. We can wrap people we don't know and bring them into our heart in that place of love, to hold them and just release them to God. And actually, that was the second part I was going to share tonight. I don't know if we have time, but the fact is that is our portion, and that is our reality, that we can hold each other in our heart. And when we take people in there, and we ourselves are in that beautiful space, we take them into that place in God's heart. And if we can release it there, he will do whatever is necessary. It's actually called an intention. It's the intention of our heart. When it's released to God, we don't have to tell him what to do. We don't have to worry about the details. We don't have to give him a 5-point sermon of our own to explain why he should be doing it our way. We can just hold them and release them and let God. And it's lovely, lovely, lovely. Okay.
Helen, something else that I'm reminded of is trusting ourselves. How many of you, as Helen was sharing this part of this half of this word, were actually going through the steps while she was explaining it. And then when you actually ask your heart that question, oftentimes we think that the answer, oh, that can't be right. Because a lot of times it's more glorious than what we give ourselves permission to actually be in existence. And so we go back going, okay, no, that can't be right. There's got to be something wrong here. There's got to be something, what do I need to work on? What do I need to repent for? What do I need to, we don't want to take you are amazing, perfect in every way. And so how bold and confident would that look like if we begin, when we practice asking our heart those questions and we hear the answer of the Lord, that we actually believe it and function from that truth, rather than thinking it's got to be something we need to fix because after all, this is broken, it's I'm a sinner, all of these things. Instead of, we are seated in Christ, we are whole and perfect in him because of him. And so I was just thinking of that as you've been talking, as each one's been sharing, of how critical that is, building that confidence of who we are as the sons of God.
Right. You know, that is such a key to actually this whole heart-brain coherence, and in the spiritual realm. This is what I tried to bring was the heart math understanding from the science, and I'm not a scientist. I just know how to read, right? So that's all I'm doing is sharing. Plus, I've been doing it for years. I know that it works. I know that it changes things. I know that it it keeps you healthy and wealthy and wise. I know that. But the reality is what Kim just said, is that we don't know how to love ourselves all the time. And we go digging where there's no digging needed. Because if we release ourselves to God who's in us, in our heart, and if we let him do what we are the technology. I haven't used that term tonight, but that is really the theme of this. We are the technology. He has put everything in us. We do not need another thing. Do you know, if we were living this to the max, where this, what the heart brain coherence does, when the heart is in that place of 0.1 hertz and released those hormones from that are in our brain makes them, it will create whatever your body needs for its health. So if it's sick in any way, that's where you can go. If we come to the place in this crazy world that we don't have access to a doctor, we don't have access to medicine, if we don't, I want you to remember, you make this, your body is created. You have the technology by the simplest thing in the whole world, which is called heart-brain coherence, to release what your body needs to be making to keep you healthy and whole. And it is probably one of the most exciting truths that we have for today. And if you do have a pre-existing condition of anything, heart-brain coherence will release what your brain manufactures into your body to heal you. Can we trust that we are wonderfully and fearfully made? Nothing missing, nothing broken. That's how blessed we are by God.
That's the truth. And you know what's so exciting for me, I was actually practicing this about a specific thing this morning, and I thought, I was actually laughing at myself because I'm doing all this stuff, practicing, and I thought, you know what, Lord, I'm going to go for it in every realm and every situation, because I want to see the manifestation of this beyond what I comprehend right now in this moment is even possible.
Right.
And what would happen if each one of us, just in this moment, as Helen's talking about that, and we take, because all of us, I know a situation came to mind, whatever it might be. And what if that's the thing that we begin to practice with? Yeah. And just see what would happen.
This is so
telling you, I know we're right. We're going to come back with like testimonies of Palooza.
I agree.
All right,
right?
Cynthia has her hand up. Go ahead, Cynthia.
Wow. As Helen was talking right now, I mean, after her submission, and then we were just having this discussion. Father just took me to, there are some people in Ghana here, we call them traditionalists. And we call them, I don't even know why they call them traditionalists, but like they practice stuff that has been passed on mostly orally by our ancestors. And interestingly, these people, when they are sick, they do exactly what Helen just said. And the Christian world here, we have cut them off, call them all sorts of things. They just sit. I have seen with my own eyes one person, one guy from my village, he can sit and he comes into balance with himself. And a knife, a cutlass, a machete does not cut his skin. And we all believe that, oh, he's possessed, he's demonic, he's done this and that. And he's like, I just get my heart and my brain in balance. I mean, when he was saying that, that sounded like Swahili or some strange language to me. And I'm just listening to Helen here. I'm like, oh my gosh, I wonder how many times Father has been probably drawing my attention, or a lot of us attention, and we're just like, it's demonic, it's occultic, it's fetish, it's this, and we've just completely, thank God for mercy. So it's just amazing. And that thing you shared about the heart knowing before the brain knows, it's today I was in my room and my heart just spoke. I mean, since you taught us, I practice it every day. I mean, I try to anyway. I was just in my room and there was this lady. I mean, here we have a lot of people who come and help. We call them domestic help. They come, they live with you. They help you with the cleaning, the children, taking care of them and all that. And she was with me and then had to leave. I was here, I was in the room and my heart said, oh, you need to send this lady some money. Just bless her with anything you have. So I just mentally told myself, okay, Father, when I get some extra money, I'll send her about 200 Ghana cedis. As soon as the thought ended, my phone started ringing and that was her. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we just discussed this at 5DP. And I was just screaming. I didn't pick the call. I screamed and the light cut off. I was just screaming. I was so excited. And I'm like, oh, so it means that when the thought drops or we think about somebody, our heart has actually picked up on that person and sent the information to our brain. And as we're talking about that, I'm like, okay, so that's the technology. Your heart receives the information way before and passes it to your brain. And as soon as your brain acknowledges that, you see the manifestation of it. But I had a question, Helen. You said if you can hold somebody in your heart and then release the person, how does that look like? How do you hold somebody in your heart? Like I'm talking about like the way you gave us the steps. Get into rhythmic breathing, get into the happy place, all those things. Like, what is the technology? What's the practical step of bringing somebody in, holding them in your heart, and then releasing them? How would that practically?
Well, you would have to ask that question. Because, well, here's the thing. I'm going to try and answer it simply. I wasn't sure how tonight was going to go, and I just asked the Father. He said to make this into two sessions, two different separate parts. The second part of this is what I wanted to share was what our group has been doing for the last year, and that's experimenting with the power of intention. Like, what is intention? What does it mean? Is there and we have absolutely amazing testimonies. We're I was going to say fairly practiced and mature group when it comes to prayer and ascension together. We have walked together a long time, understand uh, heart-brain coherence. It's actually one of the things that I really encourage anybody to do before you do anything, before you go into an ascension, before you go into a meeting. Get your heart right. Get your heart into that place where you know that you yourself are ministering and meeting people, that your torus field that the science speaks of, those diagrams with the circles around the people, that your New Age would call it aura. Well, actually, we have that. We have it. Some people see colors around us. Some people see light around us. Some people see all different things. It's real. And what we do in heart-brain coherence is we set that in motion. We set that in place so that when we are doing anything, we do it as effectively as possible. I am getting to your question. The trouble with the answer, I'm trying to put it into a very, very simple format, because what we have learned is that when we pray for somebody, we in the model that we are familiar with, we will bring somebody before the Lord and then ask the Lord to do this, this, and this, right? And then we found out as we study more and understand more, the Lord actually already knows what that person needs. Isn't that interesting? Because he's God and we're not. So he knows. So what we have learned is that if we will send our intention for that person, and what that means is, if a person is sick, our intention is to see that person healed, to see that person whole. And so we've been experimenting with that understanding. If we can send that out from that place in our heart, in coherence, is love, is compassion, is gratitude. So what we do is we take that person into our heart and release that person into God for the answer, not for the process, not telling God what to do, how to do it, and what timeline to do it, but that is his portion. So we write an intention that is in the present. We say we'll just say cancer is defeated in so-and-so. He is whole. And we hold that intention together as a group until we actually see it done as a group. And then when that is, and actually we give it a time limit. We will do it up to 10 minutes of declaring what it is, seeing it happen, and then releasing that intention to the Lord. We haven't told him what to do. We haven't explained anything. We have gone from the place of the answer and declared the answer now. How it happens is all up to God. How it happens is his business. And when we leave it there. But we have seen over and over and over again that this, it's a mode of prayer. That's all it is. But we've realized that when we pray from the answer instead of from the problem, we actually have released something from our heart, because our heart knows that answer, because that is love, and love is him. Am I just stringing a lot of words together?
That is amazing, Helen.
Okay.
Amazing.
I have a
very good, very.
And Angela has her hand up. I don't want to rush you, Cynthia. Did that answer your question?
Yes, that answered my question, and I'm looking forward to the part 2.
Yeah.
All right, Gina, and then Angela. Go ahead, Gina.
I was just going to state further than of what Helen was saying, that holding that person in your heart is taking the intention, as she was stating, and bringing it to the heart as a group and holding it there as a mode of prayer, seeing the result, seeing the end result of that intention. So the person being cancer free, for example, and what that looks like. How does that person look when they're free? How does that person look when they're whole? What is it that they do that is different when they're healed? Taking that for 10 minutes, whatever, that's holding the person in your heart. It's holding the intention for the person in your heart, and then releasing that into the heart of God and into the manifestation of that thing. So I just thought I'd clarify that a little bit.
That's really good. Thank you, Gina. Okay, Angela, you've got your hand up. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, that's almost like saying, you know, when you bring them into your heart and you hold that intention, like then your brain is releasing into them what they're having, you know, because they're in a place where they need that help. I mean, that's incredible. You've been talking about being intentional, I can just see, and I've never done this. I've never had these kind of thoughts before. It's just brand new, but I'm feeling that my intention is that I want to bind the remembrance of heart-brain coherence to every turn and every choice, which is I'm describing the Saudi, the Hebrew letter, the path, so that all of the hijacks of the enemy, the triggers or the difficult thing, and then, you know, next day you go, darn, I forgot, you know, so I'm binding the remembrance of the heart-brain coherence to every time I come across a fork in the road, and every time there's a turn, whether there's a trigger or whether there is a difficulty, I'm just declaring that the remembrance of the heart-brain coherence be bound to those places and fully come, so that I can be intentional to go, oh, this is that I said I would do. Okay, there. I did it.
That's good, Angela. I love that. I love that. Okay, Wendy has her hand up. Go ahead, Wendy.
Thank you. I just want to say again, I'm so glad I showed up this week, because I would not have given this the credence that it deserves. The Lord's been using so many of these words with me, the intention, and I've been so frustrated with my prayer life, because I'm like, I don't know how to pray. So many people ask me to pray. So many people want me to pray with them, and I haven't had words to put. I've just had a heart place to put my prayers. And this past week, someone who knows me as a prayer warrior, and I'm like, oh, they're calling to pray again. Like, I don't even know what to say or do, God. And I just took them. Their situation was really hard. It was sad. And I also had the capability to help them, but they all had COVID. So I was trying to discern, am I supposed to go in and not get COVID? Am I supposed to help? And the Lord said, no, you're just supposed to pray, because one of their family members actually called me to pray. And all I knew to do was this. Like, I didn't worry about them. I just took their family and admired them, honored them, loved them, thanked God for them, knew that God loves them more than I love them. And I literally was able to just release them to his heart. And the dad of the family called me and was like, thank you so much for praying. I was like, I really didn't pray. I really didn't do anything. But you challenged me, Kim, with when you said, would we be bold enough? Would we be courageous enough to know that this heart power inside of us is that God is so amazing, and he is so loving, and he wants to move through us in that way? Was pretty incredible. So I just want to say thank you again. all these things are coming together. I want to give God the glory for using me in that way, because I do believe that he did that was being able to set that intention where God's heart would use it in the power of love. If that's my words of understanding. But this is so good tonight. Thank you, everybody. Everything everyone said has been so purposeful in my heart. I'm really excited.
Oh, that's so
too.
beautiful.
Sorry.
That was beautiful. That was beautiful. Did you want to do part 2?
Yes, I would. However, you know what? We're at 8:30 right now, and that would take us well over our time. And I don't know.
Please.
Well, what if we do this? We give everybody permission to choose to stay on or jump off at 9 o'clock. If you need to go, you have permission to go. And how is that, Helen?
I'm totally game. I just wanted to respect the time. I also wanted to give opportunity for the participation, because I think we learn so much from this time as well when we hear from each other, and everyone has such a rich background, and we bring our pieces together. So I want to say thank you for that. And Wendy, you touched on it completely into what intention actually is. Don't stop praying that way. That is a mode of prayer. That is a powerful, powerful mode of prayer. I used to say, coming out of the Anglican Church, I never knew that you could pray if the man in the dress wasn't lighting the candles and the choir was singing. I didn't know that I actually could have that heart intention and just hold people and know that that's one of the deepest forms of prayer that there is. Good.
Can I share a testimony here about that, Helen? So at Heart of the Bride, as you know, I was talking before we got started, many of us have been together. We officially started Heart of the Bride in 2014-ish, but many of us have been together for years before that. And so one of the things that we've been practicing for the last number of years is of hearing one another in our heart, of not taking those little signals as non-events, but paying attention. So when when Helen comes to my heart, I intentionally purpose to know that either she's thinking about me and praying for me, or I am to be praying for her. And years ago, I started telling the Lord, okay, Father, then I want Helen to know that I am praying for her, as using this as an example. And so we've just been intentionally practicing and pursuing that heart connection with one another, because what a beautiful way to be able to speak to one another and pray over one another without having, to get a cell phone, text somebody, call somebody. What does that look like when we can actually have a conversation in the Lord with one another about whatever is on his heart, right? And so we have been pursuing that. Well, earlier this week, I was on a call with a number of folks and I had a headache. And so I told everybody, I'm with you, but I'm going to put my video off because my head hurts, but I'm here and I will engage, participate and all that. Well, suddenly one of the ladies on the call, she came to my heart, and I knew that she could hear me. This was before I was telling everyone I had a headache, that she could hear me. And I was telling her in the spirit, I've got a headache. Would you please pray for me? And so then shortly after that, well, she texted me and said, hey, Kim, I'm feeling you have a headache, and the Lord told me I needed to pray for you. The moment I saw that, my head stopped hurting. And so, of course, I came on, I was telling everybody about the instant. That is how connected we are with one another. It really is true. Because of who Jesus is, we have a connection with his heart, his intentions with one another, and it really does work. So and that just happened like 2 days ago. So
That's so cool. That is so cool. I feel my personal goal, um, that just as I'm believing that we can live an ascended life, not go into ascended time and out and stepping in and stepping out, that we can live in that ascended space, in that time, in that dimension, or outside of time, actually, that we can actually live there. I'm believing that we don't have to live in divine health, that we can live in divine life. And that this
Yes.
and I also believe that we can learn to live in heart-brain coherence, because it is an awesome technology and power within us. And so it's not something that we try. It's like ascension. Yeah, we may try it. I shouldn't say that. But we can keep in that state. It doesn't take hours of meditation on a mountaintop in Tibet to get to the same place of the 0.1 hertz brain wave that's necessary for the release of all of what our body does for the technology. It takes a few minutes of intentional setting our hearts into love and gratitude. We would stop a lot of arguments. Actually, we would stop a lot of wars, because if we got a whole lot of people doing it, if they called a war, nobody'd show up.
Hi, this is Kimberly Whitman, the founder of Heart of the Bride Ministries. If this video has blessed you, I want to personally invite you to trade into Heart of the Bride and partner with us to become an essential part of what God is doing through Heart of the Bride Ministries. Your support enables us to continue to reach people all over the world, and we're seeing people from every corner of the globe coming into the realization of their oneness in Christ. We passionately want to see every person living from this reality of oneness in and with I am. He is truly transforming all of creation according to Father's desire and design. And to find out more about Heart of the Bride, go to www.heartofthebride.net. For I, says the Lord, will be a wall of fire all around her, and I will be the glory in her midst.